Good night and welcome to At This Ungodly Hour. As usual, this is Kama. So sometimes you reflect about things that were supposed to go a particular way in life and it never went that way. And sometimes you wonder what would have happened. You know, a number of shows have been done where people travel back in time to change things to try to make them a particular way. And of course, as it always ends up that they change a particular thing and it causes a chain reaction that eventually leads to something else changing that they didn't want to change, right? So basically, leave well enough alone, stick to the evil that you know, right? But as humans, we still can't help wondering what if. So I want to talk about two things in particular that they were like crossroads in my life where it could have gone completely another way. There are a number of things, but I just want to talk about those two things tonight. Things that happened that if it had happened another way, my life would have probably gone completely in another direction, and maybe I would not have liked that direction, or maybe I would, who knows, right? So, the first thing, when you're in high school, when you're in fifth form, and you're at that time where you're giving out university applications, right? So, I was always considered to be a bright student, even though there were times when I was not living up to my full potential for whatever reason, right? But I think everybody agreed that I had a lot of potential. And everybody would say, well, if there's anyone who is going to succeed, if there's anyone who is going to become, the usual things, the lawyer, the doctor, the engineer, well, the astronaut, I would certainly be one of those persons because I was considered to be an intellect. I was always arguing, you know, existential topics with adults. And I was always writing and having deep philosophical thoughts about stuff. So, yeah, I was considered to be an intellectual and I was considered to be one of the most likely ones to excel, to succeed in life. So, because, like I say, I was very adamant and I was in very quiet, didn't give any trouble. Um, I was very argumentative when it came to topics, right? I remember the Jehovah's Witnesses would be going around, and most people would just take the pamphlet and promise to read it and didn't read it or whatever. I would be lay waiting the Jehovah's Witnesses, like 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, lay waiting them so that I could argue with them about the Bible, about life, about existence, about the universe, right? So I said, you know what? I think law would be a good profession for me because I love to argue. Pretty much any child who was outspoken and loved to debate, they would be told, law is a good profession for you. And so time came and we were preparing our packages to send off to the university. Of course, most of us um, would be applying for students loan because there weren't even that many scholarships in those days, right? So most Jamaican kids went to apply for students loan. So we got some guidance from our teachers and guidance counsel on how to put the package together, fill out the application form, put in our, the usual thing, put in your subjects, your certificates showing all the subjects that you passed and all of that. And I did that. My friends did that. No, there was a particular girl where we were close, and for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, I she was going to mail her application because I think we had to mail it to Barbados because that was the headquarters for law. If my memory serves me right, that's where we had to mail. I don't think we mailed it to the Mona campus here in Jamaica. If I'm remembering correctly, I think we mailed it to Barbados. So I got my package ready, and she was going to the post office. And for whatever reason, I asked her, mail mine for me. Gave her the money, mail it for me. She said, no problem. So I took that as done, right? She said she mailed it. Maybe she did. I don't know if she did. And I'm not saying she didn't. But I never got a response from the university. And I don't think I inquired really. I didn't look much into it because something in my spirit was just telling me, you know what, let it go. Because I know I understand, because I really was not cut out to be a lawyer. That would be, I would hate being a lawyer, any kind of lawyer. I would hate having to be, I mean, I love doing research. I love debating and arguing things, but on my own terms, in my own time, and my own topics. Right now, I could not see myself um, behind a desk researching things that did not interest me. Or would not enjoy being a lawyer. So I think it was a good thing. I think it was a good thing that my application, for what reason, did not go through, and I could go in another direction and end up where I am today, which is at the place where I need to be, because I am definitely living my purpose. Right? Another thing that happened, so when I left high school, I didn't attend university. I'm only just now attending university, right? So it's like I have lived my life kind of backwards, upside down compared to how most other persons live their lives, how they are told to live their life in that order. I'll come back to front, inside out. Right? Um, so I'm just now at university. So when I left high school, I said, you know what, I'm going to start a job at a bank, and I was there for So at the bank, which, in Jamaica, it would be considered a decent job, right? A good job. Just leaving high school and I was earning a good amount of money comparatively. Um, but you know what? That turned out to be the only time that I've ever had a 9 to 5 job, working at the bank for a year and then teaching for 1 term. And that was pretty much it. After that, I realized that the 9 to 5 is not for me. I'm not a 9 to 5 person. I'm much too much of a free spirit and a free thinker and a rebel, and I just can't function properly under restraint or having somebody breathing down my neck, or I can be accountable, but I don't want anybody over me like that. It's too stifling for my kind of spirit, right? And the 1.5 years in total, that was enough to tell me that no, this is not for me. But the thing is, I did not voluntarily leave the bank. I was asked to resign from the bank. And at the time when I was asked to resign from the bank, I had no thought of leaving that job. The reason why I was asked to resign is that, at that time in my life, I was just coming into being in terms of my political stance on Afrocentricity and Black power, and knowing myself as a Black woman and discovering things about Black people that we had never been taught, discovering Dr. Ben, discovering Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey and Dr. Henrik Clark, Bobby Wright, and all these people, Miriam Makeba. Um, and so I, when you're sort of mind and you discover these things, you get excited, you get very happy, and you feel that anybody else who comes across this information, and so in your naivety, you take it upon yourself to spread the word, and that's what I was doing on the job at the bank. I would be photocopying these documents that my friends had um, given to me, shared with me, documents that talked about African history and the great civilizations of Egypt and Mali and Timbuktu and South Africa, and the passing out these flyers, and of course management, and they did not like that, and eventually I was asked to resign from the bank. But it was a good